Well, a bill to place a restriction on government officials from sending their children to private schools and using private hospitals is set for transmission to the National Assembly for legislative action. The private bill, sponsored by the presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress in the 2023 election, Dumebi Kachikwu, proposes that public officials shall patronize public education system for the education of their children at nursery, primary, secondary, and first-degree university levels. And Kachikwu is with us in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me once again.
Yes. So first off, let's establish what exactly the objective of the bill is.
Okay, it's very simple. The Nigerian Patriot Act is a bill that speaks to equity, justice, equality, and fairness. It's a bill that says in the marriage between government and the citizenry, for better, for worse, we are all in this together. It simply states that if you desire to be in public office, if you want to rule Nigerians, that you must share in the same privileges all Nigerian masses share in. So what's good, we'll share in the good things and we'll share in bad things. If there's no water, all of us will stay without water. If there's no light, we'll all stay without light. If there are no good roads, we'll all use the bad roads. If there are no good schools, all our kids will go to those schools. That's what the bill simply states. So anybody who desires to be in public office, civil servants, your kids must use public schools. You must use public hospitals. You cannot have armed security in your houses. You have to travel by road so that you get to see our good roads and our good scenery. And also, you cannot have boreholes or generators in your houses. You have to do with what the generality of Nigerians are doing with. That's simply what the bill states.
And how do you intend to push this, since this is coming from a private citizen? So, looking at this, one would have thought that perhaps your party members who are, if you had party members in the National Assembly talking about the ADC to help drive this, how are you lobbying to ensure that this doesn't go out of the window?
Well, my very good friend Sejos Ogun, 2 years ago, tried to push the same bill, and it was killed on the floor. What I'm trying to do right now is to get critical mass behind this bill, get Nigerians as a whole behind this bill, so that by the time we get to National Assembly, seeing that Nigerians pushed Labour Party members there, I expect that Labour Party members who are in National Assembly, that they will all rally behind this bill, because they seem to be the party for most Nigerians, and this bill speaks to the problems of most Nigerians. So I am looking up to Labour Party members in National Assembly that they will wholeheartedly adopt this bill. But first of all, I'm using the media, so I'm here tonight. I'm using the media to sensitize Nigerians that this bill is about equity. It's about us sharing equally in all our problems in Nigeria, and they should stand behind this bill, and let's make sure that when it gets there, this bill passes.
Why are you limiting it to just the Labour Party? I mean, there are other parties in the National Assembly. You don't think they'll buy into this, the ideals of this bill?
Well, I think that it's difficult for people who benefit in the inequalities and in the inequity in Nigeria, in the injustice in Nigeria. I think those who benefit in them, you will find it very difficult for them to essentially point a gun at their head and shoot themselves. It's difficult. But I expect that when Nigerians point out the people in Labour and say, we put you guys there, you had no real qualification to be there, other than the fact that we said Labour, we adopt Labour, and so Labour should then be the party to push this bill. But we're going to, Sejos was not in Labour, Sejos was in PDP, and he saw the merits of this bill when he started pushing this bill, and we expect that every right-thinking individual should stand behind this bill. But let me also state this. This bill is not only for public and civil servants, it also affects private individuals, people like me. If you operate or run a company that its operating license derived from government, such as an oil mining lease, broadcasting such as Arise, Roots TV, and other individuals whose business operates on a license that not everyone can get, a few individuals, it also means that the directors in those companies are affected. Let me tell you what will happen.
What way, yeah.
It means that they must also use public facilities. What happens is that I've been in this town for 3 decades, and what I've realized is that everyone, the top 1%, they are all friends. They can solve the problems of Nigeria if they are all affected by the problems of Nigeria. But you only solve that which affects you. If you remember COVID, when you saw people in Banana Island sharing foodstuff for the poor because they felt they were going to come and eat them very soon. So it affected them and they started doing something about it. That's what will happen when people realize that their kids go to a school that has poor infrastructure, has no windows, no seats. They will make sure it works. Can you imagine what happened in Kaduna, in the school in Kaduna where those kids were kidnapped? Can you imagine it happening in a school where the children of the rich and privileged are? It's impossible. If you look at most private schools, they have armed guards in all those schools, right? But we won't protect all the schools because it's at schools where the children of the poor go to. And that's the same thing where you speak about how many 60 plus years after independence and we don't have light, we don't have water in the year 2024. That's a crying shame. And all these things are accepted as normal. The abnormal is normal in Nigeria because a few people get away with this. As long as there's no light you can put on your generator, as long as there's no water, you have a borehole, as long as the roads are bad, you can get on a private jet, you can do all these things that the poor can't do, then...
You know, Kachikwu, listening to you, the logic is really sound. But again, the worry is still where I am still on. Have you had this conversation with some of your friends? Because as Ngozi asked, you should go beyond the Labour Party, friends across the political divide. How does it resonate with them, knowing full well that if this is passed and it becomes law, it's going to be binding first on them than any other Nigerian?
Let me share with you an interesting conversation I had with a very, very senior lawyer in Nigeria today. He said to me, the elites won't allow this bill to see the light of the day. And I replied, the masses are in the majority. He then countered, the masses are the worst enemies of themselves. They distrust and dislike whoever is championing their cause and support their oppressors. This is the gauntlet I have to run with this bill. Convincing a people who have been abused by successive governments to say, hey guys, the time has come for you to take up this toga of suffering of...
But they don't have a say in the National Assembly.
They don't have a say in the National Assembly, but when you get critical mass, when the people champion this cause, the way the people champion the cause of Labour Party in the last elections, then you will see that the people are forwarding, sharing, doing anything that concerns this bill. So that by the time it gets to the National Assembly, anybody who does not support this bill is seen as an enemy of the people.
So it's one thing, let's even assume that this bill scales through, sees the light of the day. Will there be penalties for going the other way?
So the penalties...
What are the recommended penalties?
Penalties include impeachment, penalties include prison term, penalties include revocation of licenses. There are stiff penalties, and I propose that the bill will be in place for 16 years, a time that I hope that if we all assiduously work towards getting our country fixed, our country will be much better, and then we can then repeal this bill or get rid of this bill. But tell you what, think about this. For the last 3 or 2 decades, think about how much money has been spent on power. You don't have power. A friend of mine said to me, he's at Hilton right now because he's not had power and water for days, right? But the people who've misappropriated the funds meant for power, nothing has happened to them. Why? Because that's Nigeria for you. But if they were made to pay a price, and they were only made to pay a price if the kids of every rich person, everyone in public office, if they are suffering, they don't have generators, guess what? They will make sure you go after all those who've misused public funds.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I recall my primary school days in Ilorin. The child of the governor was in the same class with us. The child of our carpenter was there.
Exactly.
The child of the mechanic, all in the same class.
Exactly.
And there was that sense of appreciating, you know, those who are doing well. And those who are doing well appreciated the fact that not everybody is, you know,
so
up there.
Now, when things fail, now what do? Public healthcare fails, set up private hospitals. Public education fails, set up private schools. Transportation fails, start using private jets and what have you.
We'll
so we always, that's...
Yeah, we'll have to live with that.
We really do hope we'll stay on this. As you said, the media and everyone will stay on this and we'll see how it pans out.
Yes.
We'd like to thank you for your time. Dumebi Kachikwu, always a delight having you.
Thank you.